Ink-a-dink, 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 ink-a-dink. Wow!
The producer has told us we've been on the air too long already.
Get off! We got other people that want to go on.
Okay. Okay. Well, good evening. Welcome to Basil BuddhaCat Presents, and we've been saying for about a year and a half now that Basil will periodically cover the news, and we want to be a little different than the Fox News Broadcasting Network. In fact, Basil has a mantra for Basil BuddhaCat Presents News, and that's bleep Fox News. Here comes cat news. So anyway, so Basil. Wait. It looks like we've been doing an expose of a story to go along with a good friend of the show, Kevin Gallagher on Comcast, also on the internet. Time Out with Kevin Gallagher. Got a half-hour broadcast. He turns that half hour into an hour and a half radio show, so he can really go over the minutiae of the issues. And he had a show on recently where he.
He's got a radio show?
Yeah, it turns a half-hour TV show into an hour and a half radio show.
What station? Some
internet station.
That's cool.
There's only like 3 million internet radio stations out there.
Yeah, but say, that's some cool stuff there, man.
I'm telling you, it is. But anyway, so he did a couple shows on. Well, actually, he's done about 118 so far on the possibility that President Barack Hussein Obama was born somewhere other than Hawaii. And the most recent one, he had a guy that pointed out very aptly that if you look really carefully at the numbers on President Obama's birth certificate, his certificate of birth in Hawaii, birth certificate, same thing, then you'll see that some of the numbers are actually looks like bolder ink, little larger size than the other ones, and absolutely normal deduction from that is it's fake. So at any rate, so we did our shows with, we took the letters in President Barack Hussein Obama, and we came up with born in Cuba, born in China, born in a number of different places in the United States other than Hawaii. And if you look at the letters in President Barack Hussein Obama, you cannot get born in Hawaii. Of course, you could get born in H-I. Oh, I thought about that. Because we had the abbreviations for the letters in a lot of states when we did born in let's see. Okay. Okay. Born in Succabee, Arkansas, born in Huckabee, Idaho, we used to, right on down to born in Saradump, AK, for Alaska. Born in Saradump, Alaska, that got quite a response from the viewers calling in on the, of course we all called it on the Inky Dinky phone, which is reserved for our guests that really don't matter too much. We've got the mid-size phone for moderately important guests, and we have the big Cat in the Hat phone for the important guests. So at any rate, first out we got out in the western United States was Saradump, Alaska, which is right across the Bering Sea from Bump de Liump Speed or something like that, Russia. So we got that. So we covered all those things. But here, back to today's story. Apparently Kevin's been in the studio again, and he brought us this important announcement. Raised in Hobbit Cup, Kansas. Oh, raised near Hobbit Cup, Kansas. So there's an acknowledgement on some part that the Taliban has an outpost in Kansas, apparently since President Barack Hussein Obama was a young man. So, well, there you go. So at any rate, so here we are back. We're not doing exactly doing cat news today, but we're doing. We've been picked up by a real media outlet known as Al Jazeera, and they said we'll take you on as long as you start off with an important announcement about a sponsorship, continuing sponsorship from not A&W root beer, and it had to be photoshopped in. The P had to be photoshopped in. Paw root beer, and we had to modify the commercial a little bit for some of the Al Jazeera audience. Paw Akbar. Paw is great. So at any rate, and again, thank you, Kevin, for raised near Hobbit Cup, Kansas, which was, of course, derived out of President Barack Hussein Obama, and that's more grist for the old grist mill. Okay, now you ask, what are you going to do about the news? And as it turns out, we have a very important news story to share with you today. It's actually an article from the Smithsonian Magazine about a little country called Iraq. And Iraq is an important story in the news today because for the last couple of weeks, because some lunatics are traveling across Iraq, taking back some of the cities of Iraq, working their way toward Baghdad. Apparently, it looks like that's maybe going to be counterweighted by the Sunni, the Sunni majority in Iraq, or one of the others. The Sunnis and the Shias. And, just for fun, you also have Kurds. And Kurds are in the northern part of Iraq, an area of Iraq that has been trying to be independent and autonomous from the rest of Iraq for quite some time. There's a Kurdistan up in that part of the woods somewhere. At any rate, so I promised Basil we'd start off with a what, Basil? Basil said said it's about time you rang up a cat and got a perspective on this. Okay. It's a big cat in the hat phone. Good evening, welcome to Basil BuddhaCat. Good evening, welcome to Basil BuddhaCat Presents. And whom are we speaking with? I hear. Okay, I'm going to have to translate this. We have actually a cat at the other end of the line. Tweety, the right combinations of zeros and ones to connect us digitally to the hereafter. Okay, Tweety gave me the two wings up. So, yeah, absolutely. Okay, and who might we be speaking with? Welcome to Basil BuddhaCat Presents. Oh, Basil? It's actually a Persian cat, and as the audience knows, Persia is what is now referred to as Iran. Iran was formerly known as Persia, the same way that Iraq used to be considered many centuries ago Mesopotamia, and or as our friend John Stewart calls it, Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia. Okay, this cat wants to make a brief statement, and then says, "Get on with the story. Get on with the story out of Smithsonian." Says. Says Basil is the cat of all cats in America, but in Persia and in the hereafter, at least the Persian version of the hereafter, our caller in is the Persian cat of all cats. Okay, so as you say, on with the story. Okay, thanks for calling. Okay, we have at Smithsonian.com, the magazine of the Smithsonian Institute, the disintegration of the Iraqi state has its roots in World War I. Created by European powers, the nation of Iraq may be buckling under the pressure of trying to unite three distinct ethnic groups. And Basil's been talking about this since back in 2003 when he came out forcefully against the invasion and occupation of Iraq, for all the reasons that we found out to be the case since, based on lies, more oil focused than nation building focused. And in fact, unfortunately, who ended up with the oil rights in Iraq? Basil says, says China. Okay. When Serbian nationalists conspired to assassinate the Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife in Sarajevo on June 28, 1914, they lit the fuse that would 6 weeks later explode into World War I. The fallout from these murders and the ghastly legacy of the entire war extend far beyond the time frame. Hold on. Far beyond the time frame of the late 1910s. Nor were they limited to Europe. The war's effects are as fresh as the grisly stories and images coming out of Iraq today. For nearly 400 years prior to World War I, the lands of Iraq existed as three distinct semi-autonomous provinces, or vilayets, within the Ottoman Empire. In each of these vilayets, one of the three religious or ethnic groups that predominated in the region, the Shia, Sunni, and Kurd, held sway, with the veneer of Ottoman rule resting atop a complex network of local clan and tribal alliances. This delicate system was undone by the West, and for an all too predictable reason: oil. In order to raise an Arab revolt against the Ottomans, who had joined with the German Austria-Hungary in World War I, Great Britain forged a wartime alliance with Emir Hussein of the Hejaz region of Arabia, near the western edge of Saudi Arabia, bordered by the Red Sea. The 1915 pact was a mutually advantageous one, since Hussein was an extremely prominent Islamic religious figure. The guardian was the holy city of Mecca and Medina. The alliance inoculated the British against the Ottoman accusation that they were coming into the Middle East as Christian crusaders. Crusaders, in return, Britain promised to Hussein, were extravagant. In return, Britain's promises to Hussein were extravagant. Independence for virtually the entire Arab world. What Hussein didn't know was that just months after reaching this accord, the British government secretly made a separate and very much conflicting pact with its chief ally in World War I, France. Under the terms of the Sykes-Picot Agreement, the future independent Arab nation was to be relegated to the wasteland of the Arabian Peninsula, where all the most politically and commercially valuable portions of the Arab world, Greater Syria, Mesopotamia, would be carved into British and French imperial spheres. Anyway, so that goes on from there to talk about the how basically what's happening now in Iraq was going to happen. It's happened before. It's going to happen again. You've got three separate states hobnailed together by the British into one country, Iraq, and now it's basically coming undone again. Now, here's a couple of good things that may come out of it. The Kurds, in fact, after all these years, may get their own autonomous country or region, because they're their interests are very different than those of the Sunni or the Shia areas of Iraq. Furthermore, you're going to find that the guys that have evolved into the power brokers in Iraq have gone ahead and called to arms people to throw out these insurgents who have done so much carnage over the last couple of weeks. So we're going to wait and see what happens with that. And in fact, if they throw them out, they'll prevent Syria and Iraq from being merged into one sovereign state. So what do you say? Okay. Basil says, gotta pay the bills, dude. Another, alright, where did the, hey, hon, do you have the lotion? Or has it, disintegrated its tube yet?
I think they...
My hands are still here, so.
I don't know where it is.
Okay. That's one check that's not going to come in this week. Okay, so we've done pause group here. We, somewhere around here we've got, we'll just have to fake that one too. Schweppert Essence. Now with 25% more Essence. Okay. That's what I noticed you've got, you've had your slippers on for the entire week. Hold on, we got to take a little break. Basil's going to Snoozo land. Okay, Basil says he wants me to continue the article. He's still fatigued from our Basilathon, which in fact not only raised quite a bit of money for the Stephen T. Colbert Defense Fund, but apparently elevated Stephen T. Colbert into getting David Letterman's old job with Late Night. And it also apparently precipitated Craig Kilborn, not Craig Kilborn, the other Craig Ferguson, to leave his show at the end of the year. So, okay, so if this all sounds vaguely familiar, it's for a very good reason. The disastrous British playbook of 1920 was almost precisely replicated by the United States in 2003. This time, of course, it was to free the Iraq people from the despotic rule of Saddam Hussein and his Ba'athist Party, a campaign that many in the U.S. government agreed would result in the invading American troops being hailed as liberators by a grateful local populace. Just as in Lawrence's day, and we're just referring back to earlier in the article about Lawrence of Arabia, who fought against colonial imperialism at that time. Just as in Lawrence's day, the naysayers in this rosy scenario were simply ignored as the occupying mandarins, this time known as the Coalition Provisional Authority, blithely embarked on a de-Baathification policy. No, that's got nothing to do with taking a bath. Cashiering the Iraqi military and purging its civilian administration of Ba'athist loyalists that all but wiped out the local structure of governance. To an even greater degree than the British in 1920, it seemed the Americans in 2003... Hey, hold it down in the audience, please. The Americans in 2003 never really considered the role that sectarian and clan and tribal allegiances might assume in the resulting power vacuum. Indeed, there is scant evidence they were even aware of them, and within months they had a full-blown insurgency on their hands. The American misadventure in Iraq has proven to be by far the more ruinous one. At least its British forebear had the unintended consequence of uniting, however briefly, Iraq's fractured population in opposition to their rule, the British rule. Whereas a more recent occupation spawned sectarian divides that remained when the U.S. withdrew its forces in 2011. And Basil, who signed that treaty, that timeline? Was it the guy that's in the presidency now? Basil said. Says, nah, Bush. Okay. Signed it in 2008 while he was still president. The result over the past decade has been the gradual dismantling of the Iraqi nation. Long gone either to their graves or to foreign exile have been the country's relatively small communities of Christians and Yazidis, adherents to religious splinter sect in northern Iraq, long derided by both Sunni and Shiite Muslims as devil worshippers. Most devastating has been the eruption of the Islamic Shia-Sunni schism into sectarian slaughter. Vast swatches of the Shiite majority regions in southern Iraq have been ethnically cleansed of their Sunni minorities, while precisely the same fate has befallen the Shiite and Sunni-dominated regions. This purging has extended down to the village and even city neighborhood level. Amidst this quagmire, the Kurds of northern Iraq, who long ago effectively seceded from the rest, are establishing their own government, complete with their own military and border controls. For those who in 2003 worried that the American mission in Iraq might become an extended exercise in nation building, precisely the opposite is proven true. Okay. What do you want to show? Do you want to show the kids again, the kidlets? Okay, we'll do that. We're gonna end the show with a couple quick videos. Who knows? Sad cat, sad dog. Could be Happy Walter, Happy Lil. Thank you for joining us on Basil BuddhaCat Presents. I'm David Stevenson. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy your weekend.
Dear Diary, the authorities have removed the pair of black pants from the couch. There is no longer any place for me to sleep. I have vomited 3 times in protest, but there is no sign that anything will change. My only other hope for rest is on the computer keyboard, which is nearby, but sadly no one is currently using it. I will wait. Dear Diary, my food dish is now only half full. It is obvious that I will soon starve to death. I have repeatedly tried to draw attention to my predicament with the authorities, but they are clearly either stupid, deaf, or just cruel. This may be my last entry. Dear Diary, it has come to my attention that the authorities have 2 hands, that seem to have made it the sadistic policy only to pet me with one of them at a time. Half of love is just low, which is how I feel. My spirit is breaking. Dear Diary, I've decided to plead with the authorities to rub my belly. I think it'll do me good in my current condition. I would like to receive 2 rubs exactly. A 3rd one and I will bite the shit out of them as per protocol. Wish me luck. Dear Diary, the water dish continues to vex me. The authorities seem to taunt me with this cruel liquid that has neither smell nor distinguishing visual markings. A sad anniversary. This is the 900th day that my nose has been unintentionally wetted. Dear Diary, yesterday I put in a simple request regarding the door to the garden, but seemingly out of sheer spite, the authorities refused to hold the door open long enough for me to decide whether to go outside, or inside, or outside, or inside. Dear Diary, the authorities have punished me for taking a crap on the living room floor. This despite my efforts to distribute the litter evenly throughout the house. I am convinced that they are madmen, devoid of reason. Dear Diary, the squirrel was back again today. It mocks me. I will try and release my mind from this torment and groom myself for 4 hours. Dear Diary, I have been stalking an insect on the wall for the past 3 days now. All of my attempts to capture it have been thwarted. However, today, on further inspection, I found out that the insect was in fact a thumbtack. There is no logic in this place. Dear Diary, it is 3 in the morning. The authorities have closed the door to the bedroom. I can only assume that they have forgotten about me and have left me here to die. As a last resort, I will stand post for the rest of the night and sing the song of my people in hopes that they rescue me. Dear Diary, when the authorities poop, I have tried to poop in the bathtub litter box with them in a show of solidarity. I have yet to experience any gratitude. Dear Diary, my attempts to destroy the terrible plant have all been for naught. Somehow, almost as if by some evil magic, a new one has appeared in its place. I will have to start over now. Like Sisyphus, I am bound to...
They say they'd rob your grandma blind on Wall Street, on Wall Street. Fritter her away her Medicare on Wall Street. And Pharma Oil and their pet fox don't care if she lives in a box, so long as they wear platinum jocks on Wall Street, on Wall Street. Meow.